Welcome to Seawaywhiskywire. Tonight on the bar, we've got the Longrow Peated Campbeltown Single Malt Scotch Whisky. Stay tuned. Well, hey guys, thanks for coming back after the intro. I'm Tyler, and tonight at the bar we've got another offering from the Springbank Distillery with the Longrow Peated Campbeltown Single Malt Scotch Whisky. But before I go into the overview of this expression here from Longrow, if you got yourself something from Campbeltown, you got yourself something from Longrow, maybe you got this non-age statement from them here, maybe you got yourself the red version, maybe you got yourself some Hazelburn, maybe some Springbank, you want to pour yourself a dram and drink along with me, please do so. I encourage it. It makes life a heck of a lot better for you guys on the other end, and I enjoy you guys drinking along with me. So before I dive into the whiskey here, I just wanted to give a quick overview of Longrow, just in case you're unfamiliar with it. So Longrow is the heavily peated single malt whiskey produced by the Springbank Distillery in Campbeltown, Scotland, and it was first distilled back in 1973 as an experiment to create an Islay-style whiskey, and Longrow has since become a core part of Springbank's production. It's known for its rich smoky character, double distillation process, and traditional floor malting, but unlike its sister whiskeys in Springbank and Hazelburn, Longrow is the most heavily peated, offering bold flavors of smoke, maritime influences, and a distinct oily texture. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the distillation process, Longrow is distilled 2 times, then you've got the Springbank range, which is distilled 2.5 times, and then the Hazelburn, which is distilled 3 times. And Hazelburn is unpeated, Springbank lightly peated, and then you've got Longrow being heavily peated. And as far as their annual production numbers are concerned, the Springbank core range, as well as any special releases for Springbank, represent 80% of Springbank's annual production numbers. Hazelburn represents 10% of that, and then you've got Longrow rounding it out with another 10%. So a very small, minor impact to their annual, so they'll release about 10% of what they're releasing every year is Longrow distillate. But let's get into the overview of the Longrow Peated Campbeltown Single Malt Scotch Whisky and see what we're dealing with here. Well, we'll start off with it's the Springbank product, so like all Springbank products, 46% ABV, non-chill filtered, no color added, just the way we like it, guys. With respect to peat levels, I believe it comes in around 50 ppm. Definitely doesn't drink like that, but we'll get into that once we start tasting it here. And again, distilled twice and matured exclusively, at least I think, in ex-bourbon casks. There might be some sherry influence in here from what I've read. It's prominently ex-bourbon, if not 100% ex-bourbon, but if somebody knows better and know the numbers, feel free to stick them down in the comments, guys. I'll definitely side with you on that, because all I could find was that it was mainly bourbon cask influence, and the notes kind of speak for that. So let's get into the presentation of the Longrow Peated Campbeltown Single Malt Scotch Whisky. Well, guys, not a whole lot to be said here. It's a classic Springbank presentation here. It's the Springbank bottle. I think every bottle of Springbank here, right down to Hazelburn, all the way through their core range, their special releases all use the same bottling. So, I love the bottle. Classic look. You got a nice look at the distillery here. On the back, information-wise, it's everything a whiskey nerd's going to want. There's nothing about tasting notes, but I mean, there's everything about everything else. You've got the double distilled piece, the peat dried on the malting floors for up to 48 hours. It mentions no chill filtration, mentions no color added, and just does what Springbank does, and does it very, very well indeed. They've been making whiskey the same way for over 100 years, guys. I'm not gonna gripe about that. They do their thing and they do it very, very well. So thank you guys at Springbank for that. We'll get into the pour now and take a look. I usually like to let this air out a little bit more than I'm going to for this review, but that's okay. Nice aromas coming off already. We'll get into that in a minute, but we'll go in tight on the note, or on the color here, and take a look and see what we're dealing with here. So it's a lovely, lovely deep golden straw color there, all natural. This to me leans, and I mean, obviously Springbank is going to use good quality casks. I don't have to say that, it goes without saying, but this is definitely color in there. But also something to keep in mind too, being that it's not light and being that there's lots of color imparted there, I'm going to go with the assumption that there's definitely some older whiskeys in this too, guys, which, being a non-age statement, pretty interesting there. Yeah. All right. Bar's already filling up with some lovely aromas. Let's get on the nose of the Longrow Peated Campbeltown Single Malt Scotch Whisky and see what we're dealing with here. So looking forward to this, guys. Let's get on the nose. Hello. Mrs. Seaway, Mini Seaway, got this as a Christmas present for me. I've been drinking it rather sparingly, but it's definitely a nose that I really do enjoy. So what am I getting on the nose here, guys? First off, I'm getting some smoked meat on there, some smoked bacon, really. And then I'm getting some honey and some nice fruit in there too. I've got some apples, some melons, Some pear on there as well. This nice blast of sea breeze, that briny note, salty air. And then the back end is kind of interesting. It's reminds me of shop class as a teenager in high school. It's got a little bit of barnyard in there too, you know, some dusty fields, mechanic shop or garage. There's a little oily notes to it. And then I'm getting some cherries and a little bit of peach. Very, very interesting nose indeed. Very complex nose. Very funky nose. And, you know, from Springbank, from Longrow, would you expect anything less? I mean, I sure didn't. And, you know, it's a nose. It's a nose that's really interesting. And if you like that kind of nose, and you can tell I do, you'll like it too. It's very, very good. All right. I've enjoyed nosing it. Let's get into the taste and the palate and see what we can get out of that. So let's get on with the taste and see what we can get out of the Longrow Peated Campbeltown Single Malt Scotch Whisky. So Solange, to your health, and let's dive into her. Took a pretty decent sip there, guys. Held it in, threw it around my mouth there, and just overall enjoyed it. It goes without saying. It's a good dram. First off, mouth coating, very oily, nice texture to it, thick, syrupy, a really nice mouthfeel, very filling, very full bodied Scotch whiskey for sure. What am I getting on the palate here? First off, very, you know, you think you get with the heavily peated piece, the peat is there, but I'll get into it in a minute. You get a big blast of fruit, and it reminds me almost of like a fruit cup when I was a kid there, or like even like the Jello with like the grapes and the pear and the apple and all that kind of stuff. A Del Monte fruit cup, or like a Jello with the fruit cup in it, because I'm getting some cherry notes in there as well. And then I get a nice blast of honey, you know, some vanilla on there too. Very nice, very nice. I'm gonna go in for one more sip, guys. Yeah, vanilla, some pears, that brine, apples. Kind of already mentioned the apples in the fruit cup piece. Then you get this cool earthy peat. It's a peat that only Springbank can produce, and it's a very earthy peat, very farm-esque, very industrial. You know, been out haying in the fields, there's dusty fields, dusty roads. And just that grass, it's got a very interesting flavor to it. And then at the back end, it's a black and maybe almost like a white pepper, but it's not aggressive or anything like that. There's no bitterness. It's just very nice. And you know, it's very subtle, and it goes on and warms you up. Very nice indeed on the palate. Well, let's go into the finish and see what we can get out of the finish on this particular release of Longrow. I really should have shared too. There is somewhere on here. I mean, the whiskey nerds of the world love it. So my release here, there's a date code on the bottom here. Mine is 13/06/23, and it's 23 out of 117 is the date code on this release of Longrow. On the finish, we're going for one more sip because I got it for the review, guys. But you know, try and hold me back. Let's go in for one more taste. I'm not rushing this one. Okay, finish wise. Medium to long finish. More medium than long, but it's into that long range, I would say. Funky, coastal, craft. It's Springbank, and it's Springbank funk. It's a different kind of Springbank funk. You know, again, primarily ex-bourbon cast. But you get some lovely fruits in there. You get that funky peat. Almost like a cheese note to it, I think, as well. I didn't mention that in the palate, but there is kind of like this kind of lactic cheese note to it. Not like a Lecheg that you would get from like a Lecheg 10 or anything like that, but this kind of like, I don't really know, like it's like a salty Swiss cheese maybe, or a salty Gouda kind of thing going on there, and not a smoked Gouda, but just like it's got this really kind of cheesy note to it. Very interesting indeed. But yeah, medium to long finish, and it's Springbank. If you like Springbank, you're gonna like this. If you never had Springbank and you find this in the wild, just I'm gonna tell you to go buy it anyways in the value proposition part. But yeah, if you see this ever, you gotta pick it up. And let's get into the value proposition with that, guys. I mean, obviously this is a buy. I like this one. It was a gift from Mrs. Seaway and Minnie Seaway, which makes it even more special. It's the first bottle of Longrow. It's my second bottle of Campbeltown that I've had, and feel very privileged to have it on the bar here. We found this at the local LCBO, and I always gripe about it. We don't have nothing at my local LCBO usually, but we had a couple bottles of this show up, and Mrs. Seaway was like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I just pointed at that, and I was happy that she obliged and got it for me. And Minnie Seaway, she picked the bow out too. Let's be frank. But anyways, value-wise, if you can find it in Ontario, and there's a couple bottles left. I think at the time of filming, and it's probably going to be gone by the time it's released here, but I think there was something like 8 bottles left province-wide, mainly up in the Hamilton region, I believe. It's $109, and $109 even for a non-age statement, it's a great price. Springbank 10 is only about $114 if you can find it out in the wild, not here in Ontario, but out in the wild across Canada right now, I believe. And I think at a non-age statement for a heavily peated version of Springbank, I think that's a wicked price. At $109, I'm buying this every day of the week. It's an excellent value. If you can find it, you need to grab it. I've never seen a Hazelburn. I don't think we have Hazelburn in Ontario, to be honest with you. But if I get a chance to grab that, I'm definitely going to grab it, because Springbank's just one of those distilleries, very special, and one of those moments or parts of my whiskey journey. First sip of Springbank, when I grabbed it there, and actually I think I've probably drank more of this Longrow than I have my Springbank 10-year-old. But I'm happy to have 2 releases of Springbank in my collection. So yeah. I'll leave you guys with that. That's my review of, let me get back on the camera here, the Longrow Peated Campbeltown Single Malt Scotch Whisky. Like I said, go pick it up if you can. And if you like what we're doing here at seawaywhiskywire, you guys know the drill. Like and subscribe down below. And hey, don't forget to check me out on Instagram at seawaywhiskywire for more content. And for those of you guys who are hanging around this long in the video, watching me go through this, just smiling, laughing, having a good time down here, enjoying myself with a lovely dram of Longrow. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate the support of the channel. Really appreciate you guys putting the comments in there, and loving you guys that subscribe and send me comments and some of that. I really appreciate it. Makes life fun and gives me something to do after a long day's work, as I always say, down here in the basement, just being a whiskey nerd by myself while Mrs. Seaway watches shows and Minnie Seaway sleeps. So I'll leave you guys with that. All the best, guys. Take care, and I'll see you around. Bye for now.